back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzie, and we have a great show for you today. First topic we'll be covering is recapping the games from yesterday and all the action that happened with it. Then we'll be doing our first power rankings of the season. I figured it's Friday, so I'm going to start doing it. Got to talk about it eventually. And last but not least, we'll be recapping some other minor news around the league. Now, before we do that, I'd ask you to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read on the air, please use the link gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get right into the show. All right, so as I said, we're going to be recapping the games from yesterday. Now, usually, in our first segment, of course, usually I do split this into the NL and AL games because there's so many games to talk about that I could not fit all the games into a 15-minute segment. But there was only 6 games yesterday, so I figured we could talk about it in one, and then after that we'll have more time for the power rankings after. So yeah, today a little different with with the games only being one segment, not two. But so let's get straight into it. So while we did have 6 games, two were the same games. We had a doubleheader yesterday from the Mets and Tigers. So let's go to the first one here. The Mets looking to win their first game of the season, being 0-4 so far. So let's see how they do. Bottom of the third here, superstar catcher Francisco Alvarez hits an RBI double to score Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso in the bottom of the third to get them on the board real early. Nice job by the Mets offense to finally capitalize on something. They had not been hitting well at all, so it's nice for one of the actual good guys in this team to get a hit. Then in the bottom of the fifth, Brett Beatty, who's been having a really great start to the season so far, very surprising I'd say, hits an RBI single to make a 3-0 Mets early in the fifth, so everything's going right there. Tigers start to creep back a little bit with Andy Ibanez hitting a sacrifice fly in the top of the sixth to make it 3-1. Then it starts getting worrying if you're a Mets fan with Jake Beekman throwing a wild pitch to score Gio to make it 3-2. And then the big blow comes in the top of the eighth where Riley Green does hit a solo home run, his second of the season, to tie up the game 3-3 and have the Mets blow a lead. Now, in the top of the 11th, Colt Keith hits an RBI double, his first extra base hit as a major leaguer, making it 4-3 Detroit. And Gio Urshela then hits an RBI single against the former city he played in to make it 6-3, which would just crush the Mets' hopes and dreams as they would then fall to 0-5. So, a pretty awful game there by the Mets to blow that, continuing their streak of how awful the season has started. Going to the pitching side now, you had Adrian Hauser going, who went 5 innings, giving up only 3 hits and 1 earned run. That's really all you can ask for from a 5-starter. I mean, that's what Hauser is. He's a stereotypical 5-starter, doesn't get hurt much, and just provides bulk innings that are okay, around 5 or 6 innings, maybe 1 to 3 runs. So 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run is really all I could ask for out of the 5-starter. I'm happy with his performance. It's just unfortunate that the offense was just so incompetent to start. At the end, I should say, not to start, because they were great at the start, but just so incompetent at the end and did not do anything about the lead and coming back. And also the bullpen blew it. Michael Tonkin has been less than stellar to start the season for the Mets. We'll be talking about him later as well. Casey Mize went for the Tigers, was not great, going 4 1/3 innings, giving up 5 hits and 3 earned runs. Not exactly the start you want from Mize, a guy who was the former first overall pick, who you really want to come back and have a great season after coming off injury. Giving up those kind of numbers to a Mets offense that has been dead for a little while now is not great, but it's only the second start of the season for him. You really want him to bounce back, and I believe he can, and I believe he will. Next, we have the second game of this single admission doubleheader in Queens. Top of the second here, we had Javier Baez hitting an RBI single against his former team to open the scoring up. That would be all that happened for a long time, as the Mets not have a hit for 13 innings, if I got that correct. And then finally in the 7th, Harrison Bader would hit a bloop single and that nothing would come about it, as we would have to wait till the bottom of the ninth for the Mets to do something about it. In the bottom of the ninth, Pete Alonso hits his second home run of the season, tying the game up at 1. A huge home run for Pete and a huge home run for the Mets, finally showing some life. And finally, Tyrone Taylor would be up with Brett Beatty on second. He would hit an RBI single to score Beatty and finally get the Mets a win, a walk-off win nonetheless, to get some good vibes going around this team finally. I mean, they've just had such a horrible start to the season that winning a game is such a great accomplishment right now, which, as sad as that seems, it is. So I'm really glad that the Mets finally got a win, and hopefully it gets them going. They're playing a good team tonight in the Reds, 6:40, a really nice time. So I'm really hoping that they can do well and beat them. So yeah, that's all you can ask for right now. After that, we had Pirates Nationals. Starting off with the top of the first here, Jack Sawinski hits a sacrifice fly to score O'Neill Cruz, making it 1-0 Pittsburgh early. Then Rowdy Tellez hits an RBI single to score 2 to make it 3-0 Pittsburgh. So a really nice job by them getting out front early. And then Henry Davis hits a sacrifice fly to make it 4-0. So even better job by them. Top of the second here, we had Brian Reynolds hitting an RBI single to Jacob Young in right field to score Michael A. Taylor to make it 5-0 Pittsburgh. It's really just strong start out of the gate by this team, by this offense. Now Washington will start to come back a tiny bit with Jesse Winker hitting an RBI single to score Joey Gallo. A really nice start to the season by Jesse Winker in a Nationals uniform. Very surprising, I'd say, but good job for him to kind of get his career back on track a little bit. Connor Joe would then say no to that and hit a 2-run home run, making it 7-1 Pittsburgh. So nice job by him to counter that RBI with an RBI of his own. Bottom of the fifth, C.J. Abrams would hit a solo home run, his second of the season, to make it 7-2. Bottom of the eighth now, Trey Lipscomb, who just came up after the Nick Senzel injury, hits an RBI single to score Joey Gallo to make it 7-3 Pittsburgh. Luis Garcia Jr. would then hit an RBI single to score Jared Triolo. Jesse Winker, Jared Triolo's on the Pirates. That's what he hit it to score Jesse Winker to make it 7-4. Unfortunately, while the Nationals did fight to come back, there will be no match for the almost undefeated Pittsburgh Pirates now, who'd end up winning the game 7-4. So another strong win by the Pirates. Yes, they haven't played that great of teams, but all these wins they've had have still been quality wins, been scoring a lot, pitching well. So I'd be happy right now if I was a Pirates fan. Josiah Gray went for the Nationals. He was not good. 4 1/3 innings, giving up 6 earned runs. Awful start to the season so far, having a 14 ERA. Not good whatsoever. So you really need him to step it up if the Nationals want to do anything positive this season. Yes, they're rebuilding, but Josiah Gray is one of the younger guys you're looking forward to as one of the guys you can rely on as for being a future star for your team. So you really need him to come together with that. Pirates had Martin Perez going. He went 6 2/3, 2 earned runs, 6 hits. A really, really strong outing by Martin Perez. Look, man, I've been criticizing the Pirates' pitching efforts, getting Martin Perez, getting Mark Gonzalez, but they pitch really well to start, and if they can continue with this, the Pirates are going to be a scary team. They already have some nice pieces there with, of course, Mitch Keller, Jared Jones. They have some guys coming up through the ranks as well, and Mark Gonzalez and Martin Perez, if they can perform for whatever reason, again, I'm not very high on them, as you can tell. I think that would make the Pirates an actual nasty team and an actual team you have to watch out for. So I think if you're a Pirates fan, that's really all you can ask for right now and really can hope for. So, yeah, we're going to watch how that goes, and we're going to watch and see what does happen there with that. Next game we'll be talking about is a divisional matchup with the Guardians and Twins. Guardians are off to a very strong start this season, so let's see if they can continue that. Top of the fourth here, Jose Ramirez hits an RBI single to Max Kepler to score Stephen Kwan, making it 1-0. In the same inning, Guardians would also score 2 more with a Tyler Freeman RBI single and a Will Brennan sacrifice fly, making it 3-0. Then, bottom of the fifth, the Twins would start to do something to come back a little bit with an Eduardo Julian solo home run to make it 3-1 Cleveland. So a nice job by the youngster hitting his first home run of the season, looking to build off his really strong season of last year to have another strong one here. Ryan Rokikio reached on a fielding error by Carlos Correa, scoring Will Brennan to make it 4-1. Then in the bottom of the seventh, a wild pitch by pitcher Hunter Gaddis would score Willie Castro to make it 4-2 Cleveland, but would be no match as the Twins would not score anymore and would concede to their division rival, making it a final score of 4-2 Cleveland, and Minnesota would lose. So a really strong start to the season by Cleveland. I mean, they're 6-2 right now, 3-3 for Minnesota. So I don't know if you can ask for much more if you're a Guardians fan. I mean, they've been a surprise team right now, and it's early, but they've showed a lot of potential, and their young hitting core has been doing pretty well. The pitching's been performing, of course. So if I'm a Guardians fan, I'd be happy with what's going on right now, and I'd be hopefully looking to what the future can hold for this team. So, yeah. Looking at the pitching scores here, you had Pablo Lopez going, your ace. He went 5 2/3, giving up 3 earned runs, only 2 strikeouts, but only 1 walk. So an interesting start by Lopez. This isn't the greatest start by him, especially against an offense like Cleveland, where they aren't the most electric team, I should say. So you definitely want more out of him, but it wasn't horrible. So I'm not gonna, chew on him too much here. For the Guardians, they did have Tanner Bybee here going. With him, he went 5 1/3, giving up 1 earned run, only 5 hits, 9 strikeouts, no walks. So a really, really strong outing by Bybee. Broke out last year, was a Rookie of the Year candidate, and is hoping to build off it this year. I think he's going to be one of the big parts of this Guardians rotation, and I think he has a really strong future ahead of him, and I think he's going to be really, really good. So definitely excited to watch Bybee as the seasons go on and see what he can do. Next game we have is Marlins-Cardinals, two teams that have not gotten off to great starts. So Marlins don't even have a win, so let's hope they can get their first win of the season here. So in the bottom of the second, we had Ivan Herrera, the new backup catcher for St. Louis, hitting in a solo home run bottom of the second to make it 1-0. Jake Berger would then tie up the game in the top of the fourth against his hometown team, making it 1-1. Josh Bell would then hit a two-run home run in the top of the fifth to make it 3-1, and Jake Berger would hit his second home run of the game back in his hometown, like I said, making it 4-1. So yeah, really strong showing by the Marlins offense at this part, and they're looking to get their first win of the season here. Cardinals would have other plans, as in the bottom of the fifth, Paul Goldschmidt would hit an RBI groundout to score Michael Ciani to make it 4-2. Nolan Arenado would then hit an RBI double to make it 4-3, scoring Victor Scott to make the Cardinals just creep back into this game, coming back little by little. Top of the sixth here, a wild pitch by Matthew Liberatore would score Tim Anderson to make it 5-3 Miami. Ivan Herrera would then hit an RBI single to make it 5-4, and Nolan Arenado with the big swing to make it 6-5 with an RBI double, scoring Ivan Herrera. Sorry, Nolan Gorman hit that. My apologies. Scoring Nolan Arenado. I got the Nolans mixed up. That's my fault there. But he would come with the big swing there, making it 6-5 St. Louis and taking the lead. And that would take all the life out of the Marlins, as it would then become 8-5 from an Alec Burleson RBI single and a Mason Wynn RBI triple. So the Marlins would then lose their 8th straight game to start the season. Just an unfathomable start to the season. I mean, it's so bad. I don't know what to say at this point. I mean, man, they've been really, really bad, and it doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon. So if I'm a Marlins fan, I'd be worried right now. I'm not going to lie to you. Next game we have is a divisional matchup of the White Sox and Royals. Bottom of the second here, you had Nelson Velasquez hit an RBI single to score MJ Melendez. Nelson Velasquez had a really strong start to the season, and it's good that he continues with it. He would then homer in the bottom of the fourth, his second one of the season, to make it 2-0. Again, keeping up with that, what I've said, he's had a really, really great start to the season, and I think he's going to be a future cornerstone for this Royals team. Andrew Vaughn would try to get the White Sox back in the game, making it 2-1 with an RBI single, scoring Yohan Moncada. But the Royals would then run with the game, making it then 4-1 with a Kyle Isbell RBI single, 5-1 with a Michael Garcia RBI single, 8-1 with a Salvador Perez fielder's choice, and then a fielding error by Brendan Schumacher. Then 10-1 with a MJ Melendez home run, his first home run of the season, to make it 10-1, as I said, all in the bottom of the seventh. So a really strong outing by this Royals offense and team. Again, the White Sox are a bad team, and you have to capitalize off games you play against them. You have to do well. So I'm glad that the Royals did, and it's a good job by them. Going to the box scores here, the White Sox, they had Michael Soroka going. He went 6 innings, giving up only 6 hits and 2 earned runs. So he was not in when the big explosion of offense happened by Kansas City, and he had a really strong start, in my opinion. Now, he hasn't had a great start to the season, but I still believe in him. I still think he has something left in the tank, and I think it was a good job by the White Sox to acquire him. I think he's going to be a valuable piece as the season does unfold, and I'm honestly looking forward to his season and seeing if he does come back to form. I mean, he had such a great rookie season. Was it a little fluky? Yes. Did he get luck a little bit? Yes, but I still think he can be a quality MLB pitcher in this league, and I'm looking forward to watching his career with the White Sox and seeing what does happen over the next couple of years. With the Royals, they had their new addition, Seth Lugo, going, who's really strong. Yes, it's the White Sox offense, but you can only beat the opponents you play. So Lugo went 6 2/3, giving up 8 hits, but only 1 earned run and 3 strikeouts. So .71 ERA to start the season. Been very, very good, and looks like a great addition already by the Royals front office. After that, you had Angel Zerpa going out of the bullpen for relief. Matt Sauer, and then Jordan Lyles closing it out to to close out the 10-1 win for Kansas City. So a really strong game by them to beat their division rival. Yes, the White Sox are not good, but again, you can only beat the people you play. So I think it was a really strong start, really strong game by them. So that was our first segment here, talking about the games of yesterday and the action. We're moving on to our second segment here, which is going to be talking about NL Power Rankings. It is Friday, so I want to make this a new thing where I do Power Rankings at the end of the week and just talk about where I have each team placed. So, yeah, we'll be talking about that, and we'll be starting with NL first, but we'll first see you after the break and talk about this then. So, see you after that, and bye. Thanks.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right, we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our second segment, which we'll be talking about the NL Power Rankings, my first one of the year. Now, before we do that, I would like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read in the air, please use the link gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get back into the show today. All right, so we'll be doing my first Power Rankings of the season. And again, I said I wanted to do this as a new thing for Fridays because at the end of the week, a lot of games have happened, so I did want to do that. Now, I want to mention that we're only into the first week of the season. Most teams have played around 4 to 7 games. 4 to 8, actually. I said 5 to 8. I'll say 5 to 8. Most teams play 5 to 8 games. And they're not... they're going to be a little wonky because the start of the season is always wonky. So if you see some teams that are not going to finish high in these, finish high now, you know why. Again, I want to make this clear that it's very early. It's very preliminary. And that's why these might look weird. And that is what the situation here is. I promise that. All right? So, first off, we're going to go from 15 to 1. First off, at number 15, we, of course, have the Miami Marlins. Now, there's really no surprise here at all. The Marlins are the only winless team in the entire MLB, and they have looked bad while doing it. I'll say that. They've blown some leads. They've not scored. They've had some awful pitching performances. So, not much positives here right now for the Marlins. I don't think much is going on with them. So, yeah, definitely not anything positive going on with this organization right now. So, I do have them at A15. Feel pretty good about it. Only win this team in MLB. I think that it's pretty clear that they should be 15 and deserve to be 15. Next, at 14, I have the Colorado Rockies. Now, this shouldn't be a surprise either. I've talked about my dismay for the Rockies and how much I hate this organization and this team because they are so incompetent and they don't know what they're doing. I mean, they're so bad, and it's, they're really bad. Their pitching's bad, their hitting's bad, their front office is bad, their prospects are So, not really surprised they're here. I mean, they're 1-6 right now. They did get a win against the Cubs, which is a good team, so woo, I guess, I don't know. But the pitching's looked really bad, and that's one of the main reasons I do have them at 14. So, yeah, not really a big surprise here, I'd say. I think everyone was kind of expecting the Rockies to finish pretty low on this list, and that is what happened here. At 13, I have the Washington Nationals. Now, maybe the Nationals are a little too low considering they're 2-4, and some teams, presumably the ones above them, are worse than that, but I just can't put them higher than this. I mean, they don't have much going for them. They've had a pretty easy schedule so far, so those 2 wins don't mean much. So, yeah, I don't want to I don't want to put the Nationals higher than this. I mean, we've talked about this a lot. They really don't have anything going for them right now. They have a good young core, but the fact is they just don't have that much talent right now, and it's just they're a bad team. I think that's pretty clear. So I do have them at 13, even though they have maybe surprised some people with how not horrible they've been. So I do have them there. At number 12, you might call me crazy, but I got the New York Mets. Now, you might think, okay, you're biased, you're a Mets fan. You don't want to put them at 14. They're 1-5. They just got their first win yesterday. How could you, Look, here's the thing. They have the same amount of wins as the Rockies, so I think, just going off talent there, who would you rather have, the Rockies roster or the Mets roster? I think it's pretty clear. And the Nationals are only one game ahead of them, and I think the Mets have had a harder schedule. They've played the Brewers and Tigers, who have both gone off to really good starts, and the Mets have just more sheer talent. So I did have the Mets 12. I didn't have them any higher, so I think it's fair. And I think a lot of right now what has to do with the Mets is just simply luck. I mean, their star hitters have not been performing. That's not going to last forever. They're going to get reinforcements with J.D. Martinez. They just got a new shiny depth piece with Julio Teheran. So they had a nice walk-off yesterday win. So I think that a lot of the Mets' struggles right now are not going to stick. And I do think they're not going to be as horrible as right now. I think eventually Alonso's going to start to hit. Lindor's going to start to hit. McNeil's going to start to hit. Nimmo's going to start to hit. We just have to wait for it, and it might be a little bit, but I think that they're going to be a fine team still, and that is why I do have them at number 12, but I couldn't put them any higher than that just because of their record right now and how they have been performing, but they still have the sheer amount of talent. So at number 11, I have the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, I did want to give the Cardinals a little bit of slack as they've had a hard schedule so far. I mean, they've been playing they played the Dodgers to start off with, so that's not anything to, joke at and just say, oh, wow, that's an easy team. So I didn't really want to do that to them, but I'm just not high in this team still, and that's why I do have them here. I just don't think they're that good, and I don't think that they really have much going for them. Now, the reason they are 4-4 is because they played the Marlins, who are an easy team, obviously. They played the Padres, who are a hard team as well. So, I mean, yeah, not a fan of this team, and they've had a hard schedule. And they're still 4-4. They played the Marlins, though, so it's kind of evened out. So I did want to put them at 11 above the Mets. They still have a good hitting core. They still have some things going for them, but that, like expected, that pitching core has just been bad. So can't put them much higher than that. Number 10 here, I have the San Francisco Giants. Now, the Giants are 2-5, so you may be asking, okay, well, why in the world are they above teams like the Cardinals, like the Nationals, who have better records than them? Well, it's kind of in the same boat as the Cardinals, as they've had a really tough schedule to start off with. They've played the Dodgers, they've played the Padres, two really great teams, so I want to give them some slack. And also, a lot of their players are new, a lot of their talent is new, and because of that, I think it's going to take some time for everyone to get congealed and kind of together. So I think getting that chemistry down is another thing with this Giants team because everyone is so new. So, yeah, I didn't want to kind of embarrass them and put them low. So, yeah, I put them here, and I feel pretty good about it at number 10. Yeah, even though they are 2-5, I think that I had to put them a little bit higher because of their schedule. I think being so early in the season, you definitely have to give them some slack, and you definitely have to take everything with a grain of salt, and that's what I'm doing here with the Giants. At number 9, I have the San Diego Padres. Padres have been impressive so far. I thought the offense has been really nice, even with some very clear holes at the end. Their pitching's been okay, but I think could have been better. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Padres do this season. I mean, they're 4-5, so very mediocre right now. So I can't really say too much about them, but I didn't want to have them too low. I thought right here, number 9 was a good spot for them, and that's where I kept them, and that's where I'm having them right now. So, yeah, I feel pretty good about the Padres here at number 9. At number 8, I am going to be having the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, this might be another head-scratcher for some people, as the Phillies are 2-5. But, I mean, they've had a hard schedule so far. They've played the Reds, who are a great team. They've played Atlanta, who, of course, is an amazing team. So I wanted to cut them some slack a little bit. I still think they have a really nice roster. I still think they have a lot of talent, and that's why I did put them here at number 8. So, yeah, I mean, nothing else to say here. 2-4, yes, but still a good team, still a lot of talent, and I did want to put them somewhat high, and that's what I do here, putting them at number 8 for the NL Power Rankings. So, yeah, there we go. At number 7, I have the first of a little run of NL Central teams here, the Chicago Cubs. Now, the Cubs are 4-2. They played a tough Rangers team. They played a non-tough Rockies team. So I guess those two kind of even out a little bit. So, yeah, oops, that's not good. Sorry about that. Didn't mean that. But that was an audio issue. I apologize about that. For here now, with the Cubs, I think a lot has been shown about them. I mean, their new additions have been performing pretty well. Bellinger's gone off to a nice start. Shelton Imanaga has gone off to a nice start. So, yeah, I think overall that the team has done really well. And I think that overall they have a lot to show for it. But I think other teams in the Central have been a little bit more impressive than them, which is why I only go 7. But still, I think there's been a lot for the Cubs right now in terms of talent and just showing what's going on with the team right now. So I did want to have them a little bit high at number 7. Number 6, I have the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds have been very impressive, playing a nice Phillies team, beating them. Their offense has been performing, even with some of their core pieces out, like Matt McClain. So I think that was also something that's a big positive for them. They played the Nationals, who were easy, but they played the Phillies, who were rough, especially in Philly. So I think that was a good win by them. They're playing the Mets starting tonight, so that'll be an interesting series for two teams on the different ends of the spectrum. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, I think the Reds have gotten off to a really nice start. Frankie Montas has been a really nice addition so far. So I like the additions they've made. I like what their offense has done. So yeah, overall, I'm excited about this Reds team and excited about what can happen with them. Going into the illustrious top 5, we have at number 5 the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, the Brewers are currently 4-1 and have been very, very impressive, which is why I did end up putting them in the number 5 spot. Now, me, like a lot of people, expect them to not do great with the trades they've had to endure, with the injuries they've had to endure, the vastly different roster, but they performed really, really well. They swept the Mets. They split with the Twins, playing a tough Seattle team tonight, so we'll see how that happens. But yeah, I mean, the Brewers have been really, really well. The offense has been clicking. The base running has been great. The pitching has been okay. The offense has been really nice. The defense has been amazing. So I think there's a lot to like here with this scrappy young Brewers team. And even though they don't have the amount of talent they've had in the past, I still think there's a lot going for them. So yeah, if I'm a Brewers fan, I'd be definitely excited about what's going on here, and definitely happy about the team I have right now. Number 4, I have the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, the Diamondbacks are 4-3, yes, so why are they this high? Because I still love this team. I've been a Diamondbacks fanboy in this team on this podcast for a little while now. I love what they've done I love what they did this offseason. I love the pieces they have. I still think they're an amazing team, and they've gotten a little bit of the short end of the stick, playing the Yankees to start off with, which is a really hard team. Colorado was easy, but, I mean, you blew them out, so I give credit there. So, yes, they're only 4-3, but I think they've still been impressive with the amount of players that have been performing. The additions have been nice as well. They're getting some reinforcements, which we'll talk about later. So, yeah, I'm still a big fan of this Diamondbacks team. I still am a big fan of what they can do, the offense they have, the team they have. So, yeah, definitely excited about them and excited for what they can do. Going into the top 3 here, I have first of all at number 3, the Atlanta Braves. Yes, the Braves are 3-2, but they've had a hard schedule so far, so I'm giving them a little bit of a break here. They played the White Sox. I won't lie, it was a bad loss. I mean, you should have at least won one game, which is why they're not number 2 on this list. I couldn't put them above that because of that loss. You also played the Phillies, who are a good team, and you beat them nice, so that was good. So I think that there's been a lot to like about this Braves season so far. I think there's been a lot to dislike, but overall the talent is still there, the team is still there, the roster's still there, so I got to give it to them at number 3. I couldn't put them much lower than that. Anything below that would have felt like a travesty. So now at number 2, at 6-1, somehow it is the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, the Pirates got off to a great start last year and are doing the same. Now, the question is, can they maintain this hot start? The pitching's been on point. Yes, they've played some bad teams in the Marlins and Nationals, but they beat them with force. They beat them in great ways, and the pitching has performed, the hitting has performed. So I think if you're a Pirates fan, I don't know. I think this is a fluke in the way of, I don't think you're going to, be an 100-win team. But I still think that there's a lot going good for the Pirates right now. Maybe I underestimated them a little bit. I don't think so still. I still think they're not amazing, and I still think they're going to fall back down to earth. But as of right now, they've been performing really, really well. Everyone's been clicking. So props to them, and props to what's going on with them right now. So, yeah. Number one, of course, I'm not going to talk about it much. It's the Dodgers. They're 7-1. They have 7-2, sorry. They have the best roster in the league. They have the best amount of talent in the league. Not really much to say here. They're an amazing team, and the fact that they are number one shows how good they are, and I don't think anyone else could have been at this number one spot. So, yeah, there we go. Those are my first NL Power Rankings of the year. We'll be moving on to our third segment, which is going to be talking about the AL Power Rankings. So, yeah, you can see why I did that there. So, we're doing that, and we'll see you after the break. So, thanks, and bye.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right, we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment, which is going to be talking about the AL Power Rankings, my first one of the year. So yeah, let's get straight into that. So you know the deal already with the NL ones being talked about. It's going to go from 15 to 1. So let's get straight into it. So number 15, no surprise, it is the Oakland A's. I don't know what else to say here. I mean, they suck. They're really bad. They're so bad. They're the A's, man. I mean, I had a whole segment yesterday on how incompetent they are. I short on it as well. So, yeah, not a fan of the A's. They're really, really bad. They don't have much going for them right now, and I think it's going to stay that way for a little while. So, yeah, definitely not a fan of this A's team, and not a fan of what's going on with them right now. So, did have them at number 15, and I'm going to stay there, and I think I feel pretty good about that pick. I'm not, again, very high in them. So, yeah. Number 14, I have the Chicago White Sox. No surprise again here. I think we all knew that the A's and the White Sox were both going to be the two worst teams, probably in the league and definitely in the AL. So no surprises here for 15 and 14. The White Sox, unlike the A's, though, do have some things going for them. I mean, they have some nice young players. They at least have a plan of what to do. They're not moving their team. They're not alienating their fan base. So I think if you're a White Sox fan, you feel much better than an A's fan right now. So the White Sox are clearly in a rebuild. They definitely have a vision, so I wouldn't be too worried. Shouldn't last too long, and yeah, but clearly right now they are the 14th best team in baseball, in the AL, I should say. Now here's where it gets fun. At number 13, I have the Houston Astros. Now, yes, I have the Astros at 13. Is that going to stay that way? No, it is not going to stay that way. The Astros are a very good team, and nothing about this week has changed my mind about that. But they have not looked good. They lost at home to the Yankees, getting swept, which was losing in pretty horrible ways in all the games. They blew a game against the Blue Jays. So they've just not been good to start the year, frankly. And I'm not worried about them. Yes, I'm not. But they have not looked good, and I couldn't put them anywhere other than 13 right now. I thought it would have been disrespectful to other teams who have been really good. So, yeah, not a fan of what the Astros have done so far. Yes, they had a new hitter. Yes, they yes, they won 8-0, but the losses have been bad, and there are some question marks right now about the bullpen. Not too much question marks where I'm going to just give up on them. Like I said, I still believe in them, but it's not been good if you're an Astros fan right now. So yeah, definitely not a fan of what's going on with them, and they definitely need to step it up. Not too worried, but kind of got to get into gear soon. Number 12, I have their division mate, the Seattle Mariners, who are also 2-5. Now, you may be asking, okay, well, we know the Astros are obviously better than the Mariners, so why are they not above the Mariners? Well, the Mariners have lost, at least with some pride. I mean, they played Boston, they fought there, they did lose, but they fought, and they beat Cleveland, who's been off to a really strong start. The last game was bad, but Mariners have been showing me something, and I also wanted to show them a little bit of respect by putting them above the Astros, who have just looked really bad so far. So I wouldn't be mad if you put the Astros above the Mariners, but I do think right now I want to put some respect in the Mariners, and I think that the Astros have not done anything to show that they are higher than where I have them right now. So yeah, not a fan of what the Astros are doing right now, and not a fan of what's going on with this team. So definitely that's why I have Astros at 13 and Mariners at 12. But Mariners have a lot of good things going for them. So yeah. Number 11, I have the Kansas City Royals. Now the Royals are 3-4. Which is a pretty even record for them right now, kind of where I expected them to be. They've had a lot of nice pieces showing off right now. Guys like Nelson Velasquez, Cole Reagans, Michael Garcia, MJ Melendez. They split a series against the Orioles, which is very hard to do. So I thought about putting them higher, but I just couldn't because there's been a lot of good teams in the AL right now. So yeah, the Royals have a lot going for them, but right now I do have them at 11. I still think they need some more overall depth with this team. I think they have a lot of good pieces. Guys like Lugo, Waka, Singer, Reagans, the young players you have as well. But the players where you don't have a lot of talent, you really struggle. I mean, it's bad there. I mean, you have Adam Frazier starting, so, not good, is all I'll say. So, yeah, I still think there's a lot going for the Royals. I still think they're a really good team. But as of right now, I have to put them at 11. Not really an indictment against them. Just all the other teams in the AL have been really good so far to start the season. So, yeah, wanted to give the Royals a little shout out, but I couldn't put them in the top 10. Number 10, I have the Toronto Blue Jays, who, if I made this a few hours after, they might have rose because they just beat the Yankees, but which we'll be talking about in our fourth segment. So I'm not going to go into that too much, but. Yeah, so they are 10, but they've shown a lot here. They did have a nice game against the Astros, which was really good. They had a really nice comeback with David Schneider hitting that home run in the top of the ninth to win 2-1. So I think they've shown a lot to be happy about if you are a Blue Jays fan. Beating the Yankees right now is one of them. Splitting series against the Rays in Tampa is also nice. So I think they have a lot of good talent. But they're 3-4, and they don't have a superstar roster really, so I couldn't put them higher than this. But I still think they're a really good team, and I still am looking forward to watching them as the season does go on. They're 4-4 now, so again, maybe I would have put them higher if I made this list after this game, but the game didn't end until now, so what can I do about it? At number 9, I have the Minnesota Twins. Now, the Twins have been very impressive so far. I think that the hitting core has been doing well. I think the pitching's been performing nice. So I did want to have them relatively high at number 9. Now, I will say they're third in their own division, which is not something I expected to say. But I did have them at number 9. They did beat the Royals, who are number 11. So that's why I had these two teams where I had them. So, yeah, I still think the Twins are the best team in that American League Central pretty easily. So I'm not too worried about them. But as of right now, they are the third best team. Just after the first week, which is not something to worry about too much. I want to make that very clear with all these. It's not something to panic about, but I did want to talk about it as it was interesting. So, yeah, had them at number 9 here. Number 8, I had the Tampa Bay Rays, who are 3-4. Now, the Rays have had some nice, what's the word? Sorry about the weird, awkward pause there, but some nice things going for this team right now. I think that the pitching's been decent. I think the hitting core has been performing. So I did want to put them at number 8 here. I thought they were better than the Blue Jays right now. I still think they have a lot going for them with the sheer amount of talent on this team. Guys who have been so good over the past few years, like Brandon Lau, Isaac Paredes, Randy Arozarena. Zach Eflin's been a dog. So, yeah, I mean, with all the problems the Rays have had, I still wanted to put them at 8. And I still think that's a fair spot for them. So, yeah, I do have the Rays at number 8 here. At number 7, I have the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Now, kind of surprising, I'd say, but I think they've been performing really, really well. They swept the Marlins without a doubt. I mean, they just kind of demolished them. They won one against the Orioles, which is better than I thought they'd do. So, I mean, the way they played against the Orioles, the way they handled that Marlins team, even though the Marlins have been bad, I think the Angels have a worse roster. So, Mike Trout has been very good as well. I mean, if Trout continue playing like this, it'll be a big boost to this Angels team, of course. So, I think there's a lot of positives going on with the Angels right now, a lot that I don't think a lot of people were expecting to happen. So, yeah, definitely some nice things going on there. And if I'm an Angels fan, I'd be happy about where the team is sitting right now. So, yeah. At number 6, I do have the Baltimore Orioles at 4-2. Now, I had the Orioles above the Angels, even though the same record, because they beat them. Only 2-1, but still beat them. So, I wanted to make that clear. So, I still think the Orioles are the best team in the AL. I still think they have the best roster, the most amount of talent. They are going to finish top of the AL East, in my opinion. But I think it's been a tiny bit worrisome right now. I mean, losing a game to the Angels is not something you want. Yes, they won the series, but again, losing any game to the Angels is not something you want. No disrespect to the Angels, as they're not that good. So they have a big test coming up with playing the Pirates, who are one of the better teams in the league right now. I had them high in my NL Power ranking, so we'll see what happens there. But they played well against the Angels. They beat the Royals, so they've been okay. They've been good to start the season, just not extraordinary, and that is why I do end up having them at number 6. So really couldn't put them higher than that. So yeah, nothing else to really say here about the Orioles, and what's going on with them. So it's a good team right now, good start to the season, but nothing too extraordinary, which I was kind of expecting. Moving on to the top 5 here, I have the Guardians, who have been very, very impressive. Yes, they handled the A's, which doesn't mean much, but after that, I mean, they beat Seattle in a really convincing way, which was nice. They beat Minnesota in the first game of that series yesterday, which was great. So, yeah, I mean, right now, the Guardians have looked really, really nice. The pitching's been great. The young hitting core has been really performing well. Steven Vogt has like a true MLB manager. So a lot's going on. A lot of good is going on for the Guardians right now. And if they can keep this up, I think they'll be a team to watch going into the playoffs and going to the playoff hunt for the season. So, yeah, pleasantly surprised with what the Guardians are doing right now, and I wanted to reflect it with their number 5 position. Another team I'm pleasantly surprised by right now is the Boston Red Sox. Now, the thing with the Red Sox is that they have played bad teams. They played the A's to start the season, who, of course, they beat. So I don't want to give them too much credit here saying, oh, they're amazing. But at the same time, they have been really, really good. I mean, the pitching's been really nice. They're number 1 in MLB ERA leaders by a good amount. I mean, the Net Plus team is over 40 points below, so over 40 points higher, I should say. So they've been really, really nice, and I think that they have a lot going for them right now with this pitching staff, with it being that low. Yes, they played the A's, but you can only beat the opponents you've played. So I wanted to show some respect for the Red Sox here and show some respect for what they are doing. So yeah, happy about this and happy that they are performing really well. At number 3, I have the Texas Rangers. So the Rangers are a team I was not the highest on. I did have them making the playoffs, but that was just because of the young talent coming up. Their pitching, I thought, was going to be really bad. I still think that, but it has been performing pleasantly well so far. I mean, you beat the Cubs in a 3-game series 2-1, which I thought was a really nice win, coming off of all the momentum off the offseason, winning the World Series. I thought it was a really nice job to beat this young Cubs team that is good. You beat the Rays, which is also nice, so they've had some nice wins so far. 4-2. So, yeah, really happy for them and really excited for what they've been doing. So, yeah, definitely happy with how they've been playing, and I think their pitching has been a little surprising. I don't know if it'll stay there, but they've still been really good. And, yeah, happy for them. Number 2, I have the Detroit Tigers. Yes, a surprise, but they're performing really, really well. I mean, so far they're 5-1, which nobody expected. They were handed their first loss to the Mets, but their pitching was still really great, only giving up 2 runs that entire game. So I think the pitching has been clicking. I think the offense has been clutch when it needed to be. The bullpen's been really strong with the new additions. A.J. Hinch, one of the best managers in baseball, so that's also been helping. So, yeah, I think the Tigers have been really impressive so far. I still don't think they're the best team in the AL Central, but I think that they have a lot going for them right now. I think they have a really good team, a really good roster, and they're really good right now. So, yeah, I'd be happy right now if I was a Tigers fan. And number 1, of course, is going to be the New York Yankees, who before I made this list were 6-1. Now we're 4-2 after being handed a loss to the Toronto Blue Jays. A little anticlimactic, but what are you going to do, huh? So I think the Yankees have been super, super impressive at the start of the season, handling the Astros with care. I mean, really just dismantling them. So, yeah, I'd be very excited if I was a Yankees fan right now. Soto's been amazing. Judge has been amazing. Even without Cole, they've still maintained this 6-2 record. So, yeah, definitely been really excited if I was a Yankees fan right now. I think clearly at the end of the first week that the best team in the AL, maybe even the best team in the league, I would still give it to the Dodgers, but I think they'd definitely be top 3. So, yeah, very exciting if you're a Yankees fan. And Soto has been everything as advertised. So, yeah, definitely a good addition so far, I'd say. I don't know how it would have been a bad one, but it's been better than they could have imagined so far. For the last segment, I am going to be talking about some news around the league, which I always do usually. So we'll be talking about some general news stories around the league, some smaller ones, and then recapping the games going on right now as well. Not really recapping because they haven't finished, but except for one, which I talked about, the Blue Jays and Yankees. We'll be talking about them. So, yeah, we'll be going to that, and we'll see you after the break. So, thanks, and bye.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our 4th and final segment, which is talking about some general news stories around the league, just some minor claims and kind of stuff like that, just some around the edges stuff. But I do like that part of baseball. I like talking about it, and I think it's important for roster updates with teams. So whenever there is a good amount of news for a day, I will talk about it, and that is today. So yeah, let's get into it. First off, we have the Brewers. They claim Vladimir Gutierrez off waivers. I think it's a nice move by the Brewers here, getting some more pitching depth. With the injuries you've already suffered, I think that Gutierrez, even though he isn't the best player, could provide some valuable depth down the road, and I think is capable of making a spot start or two for the Brewers. So not really too much to look into here with Gutierrez kind of being a around the edges kind of player, but I thought was a good addition by the Brewers, and I thought was a good claim by them. So, yeah, there we go. Another addition by the Brewers is them signing Francisco Mejia to a contract. Now, I do like this Mejia signing a lot, actually. Mejia's with the Angels originally, but then got released to pursue other opportunities, and then went to his old team, the Rays, who then released him, and now they will be signing. Now he is signing with the Brewers. Now, I assume that Mejia will fill in as the third catcher on this Brewers team. They outrighted Eric Haas, and I think they probably will release him eventually. I think he's a good player, and I don't know if he should be kind of rotting in AAA, so I think that Mejia provides more of a ceiling for the backup catcher role. He's younger, was a former top prospect. Maybe has something still left in the tank, which the Brewers could see. And you have Gary Sanchez as your solid backup behind William Contreras, of course, who is a star. but he does have some injury risks. He doesn't field the best, so I think bringing him here is kind of an insurance policy for that, and it's just an overall a good addition by the Brewers, in my opinion, just some more depth by them. I think they've done really well with depth over these past few years, and if I was a Brewers fan, I'd be happy about this move. I think it's a solid one. Nothing too crazy, but your teams need stuff like this, so yeah. Next, we have the Orioles. They traded Diego Castillo to the Twins. So a really interesting move by the Twins here. They lost some infield depth, of course, with Royce Lewis going down. So I think that Castillo could potentially be a bench bat or a guy you look to call up if you are in a pinch. You've already lost some depth, and I think bringing him up would not be the worst thing in the world. Now, they just signed the reliever, Diego Castillo, a few days ago, which I also thought was a good move. So as MLB Trade Rumors reported it, they are cornering the market on guys named Diego Castillo. So maybe that's something that's of their interest, maybe signing guys with the name Diego Castillo. I'd say it's a pretty common name, so maybe they can get some more. But overall, I think it was a good depth move by the Twins. Got Diego Castillo on the brain. I've said that more times in this segment than I have in my entire life, so wow. But yeah, I think it was a good depth move by them to fill in around the edges. I think with the Royce Lewis injury, you need as much infield depth as you can get, and it doesn't look like Brooks Lee will be coming up for a little bit, so I think having Castillo there is a good addition. He's been passed around so much this offseason, going to teams like the Mets, the Phillies, the Nationals, the Yankees, Orioles, of course, Pirates, and now lands with the Twins. I might have gotten one of those teams wrong, but he's been on most of them, which is crazy. So, yeah, hopefully he can find a home somewhere. I feel bad for the guy. He was a former nice prospect for the Yankees, was okay with the Pirates, but really needs to find a home, and I hope he can stop bouncing around. Some Yankees news here. First, we have Jonathan Loaizaga landing on the 60-day IL with a arm injury. Now, these are never good, especially for a reliever. You never want your relievers to have some kind of arm injuries like that. So, yeah, definitely not a positive here if you are a Yankees fan. So, yeah, not great. And usually these kind of injuries get worse over time, I should say. You obviously don't want that, but we just saw it with Yuri Perez. He's getting worse over time. So, yeah, I think that Loaizaga is going to be a big part of their bullpen this year. You know, he obviously had a lot of injuries in his past, and I think he was looking forward to a big first season. So, a big season back from injury. So, yeah, definitely not a great thing here, but you're hoping that it doesn't become worse. But he's already been placed on the 60-day IL, so this is why you have depth, by the way, people. This is why your teams get depth. This is what the Yankees do well. They just signed Phil Bickford. They traded for Jake Cousins, two fine relievers who I think will be good in his place. So you always need depth, especially for relievers with how volatile they are. So unfortunate for Johnny Lasagna, who was hoping to have a good season, but can't always get what you want, and baseball's a tough game. Injuries are happening all the time. The Yankees signed an old friend, signing Rougned Odor to a minor league contract. A really fun thing here. I like this. Rugi's been such a fun player to watch over his career, been a really likable player as well. He bounced around from the Mexican League to the NPB and is finally finding a home back with the Yankees. I think he should be up at some point this year. I think it's just good infield depth for them. Again, the Yankees are good at depth, and I think Odor brings some solid here. A good lefty bat who can still hit righties relatively well, I think. I don't know if he can play defense, but I think this is a guy you could bring up for 5 or 6 days as a bench bat when someone gets hurt. DFA him after, and he'll go on his way. But I think it's nice for him to finally get back in the big leagues a little bit. And good for him that he is going back to the Yankees, a team that obviously values his assets and his skill set. So a fan base that also likes him as well. So the Diamondbacks have activated Randal Grichuk off the IL, where he has been since opening day. Should be a good addition to their team. Will be a nice platoon with Jock Peterson for the DH role. They had Jose Barbosa coming up from AAA, kind of filling in that role, but I think Grichuk fills it a lot better. He's hit lefties consistently over his career and did it well over last year as well. So I think it's going to be a really nice DH platoon in the desert here with him and Peterson. So yeah, should be a nice platoon there. I think is a good addition for this Diamondbacks team, and happy for him to come off the injured list. Next, we have some Padres news. According to John Heyman of the New York Post, the Padres, first of all, would like to add Tommy Pham, but would like to stay under the luxury tax, and so they would only have $2 to $3 million to offer. and they would also like to keep some money for the trade deadline, so we'll see what happens there. But I still think Pham goes to the Padres at some point. I don't know how they'll do it, but it just makes too much sense for me not to happen. They need another outfielder. Pham needs a place to play, so yeah, definitely looking at the Padres as a fit for Tommy Pham. I still think he's a very good fit there, and I think that it does happen eventually, and we'll see what does happen. But it's good to get some more insight on Pham, as he is clearly the best free agent still available, and it's very interesting that he has not landed a spot yet. After that, we have Juan Soto stuff with the Padres. Feels like so long ago that he was on the Padres, doesn't it? According to him, Soto was very open to extension talks with the Padres, and late owner Peter Seidler, who owned the Padres, of course, had consistent good talks with Scott Boras and Juan Soto about a long-term extension to play as the rest of his career in San Diego. Now, Heyman seems to hint that it probably would have happened if Seidler did not unfortunately pass away, which is really, really unfortunate. I mean, Seidler was such a baseball lifer, a guy who everyone respected, tried making a smaller market team into a bigger market team, which really worked out as well. So it is unfortunate that Seidler did pass away, of course, and it is now making up the baseball side. I mean, what could have happened? What would have happened if he, did not unfortunately pass away and stayed alive and did extend Soto? I think that would have been an interesting situation, and would have caused a lot of different things around baseball. I think would have caused a big butterfly effect. So it's interesting to think about. Just another thing of those what ifs in sports. So kind of a tragic one because of the passing away, but was a great man, and obviously will be remembered in baseball circles as a great owner and a guy who definitely wanted to win. Nowadays, with all these owners who have been cheap, it was nice to have one like Seidler who would consistently spend money to get a winning product on the field. So yeah, he will be missed, and it is unfortunate that they could not get the Soto extension done for the Padres before his unfortunate passing. Going off to a more lighter topic, I guess, than that, the Mets have DFA'd reliever Michael Tonkin to get the Julio Teheran contract on their books, to get him on the roster. Julio Teheran, I should say. Now, Tonkin was supposed to be a big part of the Mets bullpen this year, and I'm kind of surprised they DFA'd him this early, but he had blown 2 games back-to-back to the Tigers and not really shown much, was really, really bad, and was not an expensive contract, so it made sense to move on already, even though it was super early. So kind of surprising, but not really at the same time. So yeah, definitely a quick trigger by David Stearns here, and I like that about him. I think that's a good sign, and good for him that he wasn't afraid to DFA a guy he already added this early. So yeah. Brandon Nimmo is apparently dealing with some hamstring tightness, which I just found out about a few minutes ago. That is why he is out of the lineup today. We thought it was because he just came off a doubleheader, which could have been true, but also the hamstring tightness definitely has something to do with it. So, yeah, doesn't seem to be too worried. Seems like a day-to-day thing, but never something you want, especially with how the Mets have been going over these past games or so. So, we'll keep a lookout for that, and if it becomes more serious, I'll let you know. Games going on currently in the league. We have Dodgers-Cubs, which is extremely high scoring at 9-5. So that's been insane. I mean, Ohtani just hit his second home run as a Dodger, so nice start for him there. Obviously, very high scoring. I mean, Bobby Miller was awful, 1 2/3 innings, giving up 5 earned runs. And for the Cubs, Kyle Hendricks went in for 4 innings and gave up 5 earned runs. So pitching was awful today, and that's why it's been high scoring. So 2 good teams facing off. Cubs, of course, winning 9-5 in their home ballpark. We'll see how they do here. Rays, Rockies, currently 1-0 in the Rockies home opener, I believe. Isaac Paredes hit an RBI single to open the scoring up in the top of the first. So, yeah, nice game there. Pirates, Orioles in the bottom of the first, 0-0 so far. And Padres, Giants are just getting started here. So those are the games that are currently happening, and we'll see if anything happens and if anything exciting happens as the day goes on. Of course, I won't be on stream, but I'll be watching them, and hopefully you guys will as well. These are exciting games. So yeah. Also, the Yankees, of course, lost today to the Blue Jays, but we talked about that before, so I didn't think it was necessary to talk about it again. But yeah, that was our final segment of the day, talking about some general news around the league, just some stories I wanted to touch on. So yeah, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to follow us anywhere to get that. You can get content and updates: Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Thank you again for watching. It is really appreciated. Make sure to subscribe, donate as well. Hit the post notification bell when you do subscribe. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day. We'll see you on Monday, and we'll see what baseball throws at us then. Bye. Thanks.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn.